What's going on, everybody? I'm Peter Torin from Coldwell Banker.
Nathan Bogie, Remax Classic.
And we are from the GMAR Technology Committee. We wanted to come on and talk about some of the issues we're facing in our marketplace. We're talking about our market conditions a little bit. And then also answer any questions you might have. We come from kind of a different perspective. Me being fairly new in the business and you being in the business for a long time.
A few minutes.
And kind of having these different perspectives on some of the issues that are going on, where we think the marketplace is going. And so we're by no means, say we've got all the answers, but we'll try. And also, we wanted to give a little disclaimer to you guys that we're kind of expressing our own opinions. We're not expressing like the opinions of GMAR or of our brokerages or anything like that. These are just kind of our thoughts off the record to you guys as agents. So we will be watching. I'm going to pull it up right now. Actually, we will be watching.
Trying to look for your questions
and comments.
Yep. So if you guys are online watching us and you have some questions or comments, feel free to chime in, and we'll try and catch them as quickly as we can and address them if possible.
So what we wanted to do too is the purpose of this in the future. We're going to have topics that we want to talk about. We're going to try and stay away from anything too crazy hot button stuff, but we want to talk about the issues that we're facing, but and what we can do about them in a constructive way. So we're going to cover everything from market conditions to marketing to we may bring in some folks to talk about some legal issues. And just like I said, the variety of topics that we go through,
in our industry, we have so many things that come across our plates every day, just in our own businesses. But as an industry as a whole, it's kind of good if some of this stuff gets out and we talk about it, even if it seems simple. Sometimes the simple things are the ones we never address and talk about, and they end up becoming big things.
Well, it seems like too the simplest things are the hardest things to deal with it. Especially with like the way we deal with clients. It seems like the simple tasks are the ones that either don't get done or that we have the most trouble with. So also, if you're not watching live right now, that's okay. This is going to be on SoundCloud, and I think on YouTube. We will have to ask Tim whether it's going to be on. He's nodding yes, it's going to be on YouTube. So you can catch that. It's going to be called the Greater Minds Live, so you can pop that on SoundCloud too and check that out. So let's talk a little bit. We are from, Nathan and I are from completely different markets, and they behave differently.
Different sides of town.
I'm over in Macomb County, so for those of you who don't know, we are over by Selfridge Air Base, and we cover St. Clair Shores, Harrison Township, Chesterfield, New Baltimore. We go out over Anchor Bay. We deal with, I actually go all the way up to I-69, so I've kind of got this eastern half, and you're down Plymouth Canton, right?
Yeah, well, we cover Oakland and Wayne counties, even out to some parts of Washington and Livingston. There's a lot of different dynamics to all those markets. You have issues with resale inventory. You have a lot of new construction, as Peter and I were talking about a little bit earlier with some of those interesting.
Let's talk about that a little bit. Nathan and I were talking before the show about new construction. I'm not doing a ton of it. There is a lot of new construction going on. I just happen to have not been doing a lot of it. And one of the reasons we were talking about this was because I do a lot of VA loans. We deal with a lot of relocating veterans, and we're having this site condo issue with builders that the VA has essentially said, listen, we're not going to deal with your site condo thing. You kind of go and have that. But you've been doing a lot of it.
Yeah, so I do a lot of new construction, and the VA thing does present to be a problem once in a while, because you have a lot of veterans that are wanting to take advantage of their benefits, and one of the benefits that they get is awesome programs to buy houses. And site condos fall into the Condominium Act, which creates a little bit of an issue on new construction because one, if the developments are not approved, that sort of shoots down their opportunities to use their benefits to purchase there. And then getting the developments approved is a challenge because the VA has pretty strict requirements for builders as far as how much of it has to be completed and a couple other things. And a lot of times it's very hard for them to meet early on in the developments. And then by the time that the developments are to the point where the VA requires, which is nearly completed, it's too late.
Right. Or builders just don't want to deal with it, or it's not an easy process.
Yeah. But there is a lot of new construction. I know out in our markets we have quite a bit of it. Some days you feel like you can't drive down the street without seeing a new sub.
Right.
Of all different types of housing.
And we've got some of that. One of the things we're noticing too is you mentioned resale inventory. We're seeing our inventory is actually up a little bit in September, but it's down from 2016, down from 2015. Our sales prices are still going up a little bit, but it seems like, and I think this is more anecdotal than really stat-based, that we are leveling off a little bit. And we were talking again earlier about Macomb County seems to have, and this is stat backed, that we've got this market dichotomy of like 300,000 and over and 200,000 below, and the days on the market are vastly different. The amount of shows to pending are different, and so you've got it's a weird. You have to navigate both of these, differently.
Yeah, absolutely. It's an interesting market right now because of the inventory. I think one thing that's really proven, regardless of what's going on, is pricing's got to be pretty on.
Yeah.
You can't get too far out and say, oh, there's nothing for sale. Price it what you want,
right,
and cross your fingers. It doesn't necessarily work.
Are you noticing this? Because I'm noticing it in mine. Are you noticing that your buyers are not wanting to make lower offers, even if the property's a little bit overpriced? I'll give you an example. We had a property that was on the market for $269,000. Probably should have been listed at like $255 somewhere in there, but we said we'll give it a shot. 53 showings and no offers. And it seems like these buyers, my sellers are asking me, well, what's going on? And it does seem like buyers are afraid to shoot that low ball. I don't know if it's the HGTV thing that they've gotten afraid of, offending sellers, or I don't know what it is.
Yeah, we do see a little bit of that. In kind of an interesting thing too is that we've got buyers that are that have gotten a little bit scared in the sense that they've messed around on houses, mm-hmm, and not taken advantage of making an offer and seeing if they can get it, and then they lose it, and then what they're finding is they're getting into a situation where the perfect house has got 10 offers on it.
Right.
Some are over asking, some are giving up all kinds of different contingencies to get the house, and it's turning into the Wild West in some respects. But I think there is a little bit of the gun shy out there sometimes, yeah, and I think it hurts them at times.
I think it does, and it hurts the sellers too. It's having this that you really do have to be spot on. It's not we are seeing a lot of houses that are still sitting on. I think that the perfect example is that we've got an average of 52 days on market, for over 300,000. And I think a lot of that is because that pricing just isn't right. There's a lot of houses that are sitting out there, so there's definitely inventory. But what are some of the challenges? I know one of the big challenges that I'm seeing is appraisals. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's the same for you guys.
On single-family housing, typical residential stuff, we're seeing okay on the appraisals. It's the condos that get a little tricky, you still have to fight them, and people are coming to closing with extra money because they've really stretched on what their offer price is compared to the list price to make sure that they get the house. Right. They've given up appraisals contingencies, and now they're bringing extra money to closing because it didn't appraise. So we're seeing a little bit of it, definitely.
Yeah, and we've seen, I think, more so in the areas that have been kind of, and I don't like to say artificially inflated, but I think there are some areas that have been artificially inflated, mm-hmm, and those were the ones that we see that the appraisals are coming in low.
Yeah, some of the really high dollar stuff has a little bit of that, artificial pricing, I think.
And it's one of these things too that it's something that I go over with my sellers. I can price this at this, but I don't know that it's going to appraise. And it's another matter of let's make sure that our what we can get as far as our market value, and even with the buyers, making sure that our market value is going to be kind of in line with that appraisal value. Even when we've got multiple offers, we've got you hate to see a buyer go in and that they're going to be negative equity. Day one.
Yeah, you do. Especially when you've got first time buyers and it's stretching them.
Right.
Yep, absolutely. You really do.
So one of the other things we wanted to talk about too is kind of because we're talking to the agents, we're not consumer facing here, is maybe some of the things that are really hot and working for you as far as it seemed like September was a slump month, at least for us in Macomb County. All of our numbers went down. It seems like everyone was getting back into school.
Yep, back to school, last minute summer vacations.
So as we kind of go into this winter, what are some of the things that are really just working for you as far as bringing in new clients, new leads, new business, and then what is either shutting down or slowing down, and kind of how are those things working for you?
Yeah, I think one of the things that I see a lot of the agents that I come into contact with, and for myself that work really well, is being a resource to the folks that you come across. It's so easy to go out and get any information on listings these days. There's a zillion different avenues to do that. But sometimes a real resource that provides benefit with the information that you're looking at is hard to come by because there's so much information.
Right.
So So helping your sphere and helping your contacts and those people that you come in touch with, helping them decipher all this information and understand what they're looking at. I've found it to be beneficial to me to provide that to those people because they're coming back to me over and over and over. And eventually it's like, hey Nathan, we're actually ready to sell, or we're ready to list, ready to buy, and and you've really been helpful to us. How can we work this out?
I think you hit the nail on the head with, I'm going farther and farther away from being salesy and going more into providing, being a value provider, being a consultant, being a guide, and kind of, I think too, bringing some element of professionalism back into, I think that we kind of have somewhere along the line, especially in public perception, we lost this professionalism image.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I think one of the big things too that I think as an industry we forget sometimes is we get caught up in the data of it all, and who's doing what with what data, how are consumers getting this and that, and we forget at the end of the day that we provide a service.
Right.
And I think if you can really hone your skills as providing the best service possible, it's going to do leaps and bounds for you than having, whatever data in your hands.
Right. And we used to be and this is before my time, the gatekeepers,
yes.
And we're not anymore. And it's not that that's going to kill us. It's that you have to adapt and this is my model.
I remember as a kid being in the offices, several times, a month and a week, we would get the delivery of the MLS books, and it was my job to go and disperse them to the agents, and it was like delivering gold bricks because people would lock them away.
Right.
And today it's completely opposite.
Yeah.
And
I think it's become more than ever. I was reading something. For those of you guys who know me, I'm like huge on just always inputting stuff, podcasts and information and
you do
things from
from
successful people. And one of the things I keep hearing is it's like Netflix didn't kill Blockbuster. It was Blockbuster's inability to adapt and to provide a better customer experience. So I think that's for us in our industry, providing a better customer experience. So for me, one of the big things is communication. If I'm messaging clients on Facebook Messenger, or we're doing home tours, and I've got them on Skype because they're coming into town, and I think it's improving that customer experience. It's not just hammering them with phone calls of, hey, you ready to list yet? You ready to list yet? You ready to list yet? It's providing that value, and I think one of the things that we've been getting into is the social media and the video elements.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's all, and that's a part of your business you have to think about today is you are doing things to build your business in a sense of what are you providing to the consumer, not what you can get them to do, so to speak. And being that resource, I think, is super important. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. You can do it on social media, and one of the things I thought was really neat, I watched a video cast, I guess you could say, a couple weeks ago. There was they were talking about being like a community expert, not so much on like pushing houses for sale, but like, hey, what's the best restaurant in town? Where's a great place to take the kids to ride bikes? Where's all that kind of stuff. And
we do that. We do a weekend update video that we pop on and say, hey, this is what's going on in your neighborhood. Some of you guys who are friends with us have probably seen it, but it's realistically it's a stupid video. Okay, it is.
It's sometimes it's the greatest stuff. I mean,
it's not anything. It's not anything that's
it's the dress
deep and intellectually challenging.
Green, right?
Yeah. it's hey, listen, you forgot that the boat show is next weekend. Hey, it's a reminder. Go out and check that out. Right. And then we're hearing those things are trickling back through us. But I saw an interesting stat from NAR that it's like 80% of buyers are just going with whatever agent they meet in person. And also that it's something like 70+% of listings are not interviewing multiple agents. They're interviewing, one, maybe two agents. And it's like, home buyers didn't stop doing their homework. They just started doing it online.
Yeah, people are doing things differently. I mean, we're seeing a lot of weight being put on the review systems these days.
Right.
And I think people are doing some of that interviewing for realtors behind the scenes. It's sort of like, when the whole onset of, the internet lead came about, it was people, you would get emails and contacts from people for a long period of time before they ever made a decision.
Right.
And then all of a sudden they were ready to buy that house right that second, and you're like, well, what changed? Well, nothing changed. They were still looking. They just weren't in the car, driving around, going through houses. They were doing it all online, and I think that's what we're starting to see with the choice of a realtor too. I will say that I do think that some of that is market based, because I talked to a lot of different realtors, and a lot of people are saying that, oh yeah, I went on a listing appointment last night, and I was the third of 5.
Okay.
So I think that is market based, but and I think as our consumer changes, whether it be generationally or different demographics, I think we'll see that shift a little bit more, just like we've seen the internet lead, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think too, like I almost never go to a restaurant anymore without checking out a Yelp first, right? And so I think it's permeating into the real estate industry of, well, before I ever call you, like, let me see what's your content like. Do you have a YouTube channel? Can I find you? Like, if I can't find somebody on the web, it terrifies me.
Yeah.
It's like, what is going on with them if they don't have a web presence?
Yeah, I think you need to have some sort of web presence, and there's a lot of ways to have a web presence without having to shell out a ton of money.
Oh, yeah.
You can have a really nice Facebook page that's no cost. You can and make sure it's current, like have your current pictures, have your current contact information, depending on which group you're with and so forth. Sometimes they provide web pages.
Well, and actually, if you're an NAR member, which you've got to be, right, to be a GMAR, you can actually get a free Playster website. So Playster is just a generic IDX feed website, but you can actually get one for free. So there's realistically there's no excuse for not having a web presence anymore.
Yeah, and I think because people are going to go and look for that, and even if you don't have, maybe you're starting out and you don't have a lot of reviews, or maybe you've been in business for a really long time and you've been really great at getting client letters. I was talking with an agent the other day, and not kidding, it's like 4 inches thick. He's been in the business forever. 4 inches thick of client letters, and I mean, it is impressive. But none of it's online,
right?
Upload it. So maybe that's the situation you're in. So having that presence, though, at least they're being able to put a face with a person they're talking to, or and then that way when you have that first meeting, it's a little bit more warm, I think.
Now that being said, though, I am still a firm believer in, I think the old school stuff is still working, and maybe working now more than ever. I still think that we're seeing guys that are still just killing it with direct mailings, and I know that it's I'm throwing away stuff, but I get half the mail that I used to. So I'm a little bit more.
Yeah, I agree. I think some of the old school stuff definitely works. I think if you do it the right way, direct mailing works fabulously. I don't know about, I mean, I'm sure you do, but you probably get 100 emails a day,
yes.
And you probably got to look at like 60 of them.
Yeah.
And between the text messages and the Facebook Messenger and all these different platforms that you're getting electronic, touches, it sometimes gets lost, that communication.
Especially email.
Right.
The email marketing, I still do an email newsletter, but I'm not focused on doing the email marketing as much because it's, what statistically you have like a 9% open rate.
Yeah. So now we're looking at things like, direct messaging through the different social media apps and stuff like that. That is having a high rate of return.
Right.
But also, going back to the traditional or old school, however you want to label it, sometimes a handwritten note in the mail
amazing.
Kills.
Yeah. Because you never get them.
Right. You never get them. And the thing about it is, that person took 2, 3, 5 minutes out of their day to sit down and think about something and write to you and send it out and all this kind of stuff. I mean, depending on how busy you are, it could take an hour to send out a note.
Right. And not to mention too, it seems like the one thing that seems like it's we're not getting as I get a much better return sending text messages than I do with even a phone call. Mm-hmm. But I'm now seeing I'm getting messages on Snapchat with, hey, somebody's sending me a listing, or I'm getting whatever. But the thing too with having this stat about in person, the first one to meet them in person, the open houses are coming back as a great lead source. It seems like they were out of style for a little bit, and it seems like they're coming back with a vengeance.
Yeah, open houses are definitely agents are doing really well that are doing them and doing them right. The days of just throwing a sign on the front lawn and getting the folding chair out of your trunk and sitting in there. I don't know if that works anymore. I think you actually got to put some effort into the marketing of it. You got to have some information available for folks when they show up. And on the other side of that, I think another thing that I've been hearing a little bit about, and I'm very curious to see how much more it's going to carry are like buyer seminars in a sense, whether they're online or in person. I think that's an untapped thing.
Yeah, and we're seeing a lot of it as well. But where we just as a kind of a wrap up, where we see this future of this, we would love to talk about. Like I said, I know we've talked about some challenges with our buyers and sellers. But we'd like to talk more specifically about either topics that have been discussed in the group or topics that should be discussed in the group. And so we'd love to hear from all of you in the Greater Minds community, with the 600 and something of you that there are, about what you'd like to hear us talk about what you'd like to hear us not talk about, what's relevant, what's not relevant.
What you're sick of hearing about, maybe what you'd like to hear about more. And also, too, we do plan on having some guest speakers in from time to time. So if there's a particular topic that you'd like to get some outside input in, please let us know. If you know somebody that'd be really good to talk about something, that'd be great, too. And, I think this is going to be a really cool thing.
Yeah, and we like I said, we want to be the greater realtors and have value to you guys. So we'd love to see what to you is adding value. We know what adds value to our consumers, but sometimes gauging what's valuable to other agents is not always as easy. But guys, thank you so much for watching us. Check us out here on SoundCloud, YouTube.
I got two little last things.
Yeah.
One, everybody make it out to the general membership meeting November 9th at the Westin in Southfield. I believe breakfast starts at 8:30 a.m. and it runs till about, I think, around 11:30 or noon. And then
so we got GMAR gives thanks.
Yeah,
Punch Bowl,
which is an awesome event,
10th, right?
Yeah, awesome event. It's a lot of fun. If you haven't been out at Punch Bowl Social, it's a good time. They have everything: bowling, arcade games, foosball, great food.
And I thought that I saw something about that they were setting up a hotel room block. I'm trying to pull that up right now. But the event is up on the page. Pop into the event.
Yeah, just go to GMAR Online and go to the events calendar, and all your information will be there.
Yeah, make sure to check that out. I know too that we're going to be raising money for another support dog again. I know we did Blue last year, and I know that I think they're going to announce who that went to as well.
Yep.
So I know I was talking to Julie Diaz about that. So make sure and be out there. I am going to do my.
Yeah.
I think I wasn't there last year. I'm going to be there this year.
Yep.
And we'll look forward to seeing all you guys there. So,
yeah.
Thanks so much for watching us.
Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a good day.
Yeah, we'll see you next time.
See ya.